Quote number 1. People are like dirt. They can either nourish you and help you grow as a person, or they can stunt your growth and make you wilt and die. This actually means that people around you can either make you or break you. You should have a great deal of intelligence to note what kind of company you have and how much time you are spending in that company. If there are people around you who are open-minded, you will eventually become same like them. And if people around you have a rigid mindset, with time you will also become stagnant mentally and ultimately you will start decaying. Quote number 2. The greatest wealth is to live content with little. This means that the wise person will always be content with less. A wise person does not require a lot of money and financial status to be happy and content. He or she is always satisfied with what little they have. This also means that the person never has any fear of losing all the wealth that he or she has, because even if that happens, he or she would still be content. These will always be people who will be among the happiest in the world. Quote number 3. The measure of a man is what he does with power. This means that if someone wants to find out about the character of a man, one should give him authority and control and see what he does with it. Power is specifically used in this quote because power tends to corrupt the mind. This happens because it boosts the ego of a man, tests his morality and creates the urge to gain more power and influence. A man who passes all these different tests is the man of the highest character. Quote number 4. The empty vessel makes the loudest sound. This means that the people who have the least amount of knowledge and experience often speak the most and loudest about themselves. This actually happens because they have that vacuum inside of them and their voices inside echo because of this. The one who in reality has a lot of knowledge and experience is actually silent and doing his or her work, that is acquiring more knowledge and gaining more understanding. Quote number 5. Courage is knowing what not to fear. This means that bravery is actually the awareness of what not to be afraid of. Bravery does not mean that you are not scared. It actually means that you are fighting fear. Fear should not frighten you, instead it should make you alert so you can avoid heavy damage. One interpretation of this could be that you should not have the fear of the unknown. You should not have a type of fear which you cannot control. In order to live a happy life, one should know how to conquer the fear which is conquerable. Quote number 6. A good decision is based on knowledge and not on numbers. This means that a rational decision taken by anyone is actually the one in which the decision maker has proper knowledge and understanding of all the angles of the decision, and he takes the decision keeping in mind all the different sides of the decision. In this way, little need is left to do calculations. For example, in business, if a decision is being taken by the business owner to launch a new product, what he or she should be concerned about is that whether launching the product is right for the company at that particular point in time, or whether the product aligns with the long-term vision of the company. Then the owner should not bother about whether the product is a little cost-consuming. Quote number 7. For a man to conquer himself is the first and noblest of all victories. This means that in reality, the biggest and greatest of victories is actually conquering own self. There is a constant war going on in everyone's life where we fight against each other for small things. But we don't realize that the actual significant battle happens within us, and we should focus our energies on that. One way to interpret this quote is that if you deeply understand yourself and master yourself, this actually means that you have understood the whole humanity. Quote number 8. The man who makes everything that leads to happiness depends upon himself, and not upon other men, has adopted the very best plan for living happily. This is the man of moderation, the man of manly character and of wisdom. This means that a person who is truly happy is the one who relies on himself only for happiness and not on other people. This man can live happily till death because he does not have to invest in relationships with others. There are no issues such as trust, frustration, and conflicts etc. which exist, and there are no expectations from others. The creator of such a foolproof plan is amongst the wisest people on the planet. This also means that such a man is always growing personally and is constantly working on himself. This can also mean that happiness is not something that we can get from other people, but actually it is something that we discover within ourselves, and we should take care of it inside of us. Quote number 9. Knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. This means that the knowledge that is forced on us does not stick inside our head and we tend to forget it quickly. The best way to acquire knowledge is to embrace it freely without forcing it on your mind. For example, students, when sitting in a class in which they have no interest in, are either distracted every now and then or they don't take in the knowledge which is being provided. After the class, they can't even recall what was being taught. The lesson we can learn from this is that knowledge can only be taken in when the mind is free and the learner is genuinely interested in the content that he or she is consuming.